Rant from a Crazy Gen Xer. My name's Natalie, and I'm your Crazy Gen Xer. And I don't know. First of all, I'm going to discuss this. Should I wear makeup? Shouldn't I? Do I have to wear makeup? I see all these guys on here. None of them are fucking wearing makeup. So why should I have fucking wear makeup? Why do women have to do all this? I don't want to freaking do all that. This is how I walk around. Normally, I never wear makeup. This is how I am. Okay, so maybe I should just be like this. Okay, I did hear that women who wear makeup make more money, and maybe that's true. I don't fucking know. Maybe women who don't spill coffee make more money. Okay, I had to go get tissue. Okay, I'm not allowed to really have tissue around my dog. She loves the tissue. So what I'd like to discuss about, first of all, we are going to talk about the I don't know, man. I'm not like one of these people who think that um, I, I want all these people in this country without authorization. There's a lot of reasons why I think it's dangerous for everybody. It's dangerous for them too. But I also like to say that if it was about immigration, why aren't they going to where the mass amounts of immigrants are? Like meatpacking plants and farms and hotel chains, okay? This is where a lot of them are. They use them for slave labor in these places, okay? And then you got our fucking president of war here, Donnie the Holocauster. He's got the he's bringing in people for construction and for more farm workers. Well, he's allowing these visas to be 24, to be, you know, all year round, 365 days a year. And my cup here. I love that song. Um, well, that's a different thing, but there's a song and it goes diff, diff to the idea if it's time to put those hoes in check. Drop a knee on their effing neck. Snipe those bitch till nothing's left. It's good. Anyways. Anyways, you know, so I'm going to tell you what I think this is. He's also bringing in more Chinese students. And then he also said any foreigner who graduates from college here in the United States should get automatic citizenship. So he's bringing in people to replace your children at the college. And then he's saying that those Chinese students will get automatic citizenship. Okay? And then you have other people saying because of the mass China from about 20 years ago when it started till like now, I mean, this whole mass Chinese birth it's like birth tourism. They come here, they give birth so they can get a U.S. passport, and then they go raise their kid back in China. What happens for Ukraine too, or not Ukraine, but for Russia? They were doing that a few years ago. And it's completely legal to come into the country and have a baby and leave to have a baby. It's completely legal for it. So I'm not really sure. I mean, and they're talking about the whole birthright citizenship. I mean, I don't agree with that kind of stuff, okay? And maybe there is a loophole that if you plan to stay in the United States, okay, or you've been in the United States for X amount of time before giving birth, that maybe you should get X, Y, and Z. Maybe your kid should get citizenship. And if you've only been here for 2 months, you give birth, and you're going to be leaving within a year, maybe your child doesn't get U.S. citizenship. Maybe that is part of where we have to draw the line for protecting our country, And another thing to protect our country is I'm not a big fan of allowing people who are not citizens buying property, any kind of property, or even starting businesses, okay? I think that even a business, that gives you political pull, and because we all know money buys our politicians, I think that in itself makes it dangerous for a country to be sold out from under our feet. I mean, out here in the West, I live in Colorado, so out here in the West, we have a huge problem with water. Water is a big, big, big problem, okay? And Saudi Arabia owns like a huge acres in Texas. And what they do is they grow alfalfa, which is a extremely water greedy crop. Okay? In fact, alfalfa should not be allowed to be grown out here in the West. It should only be allowed to be grown in the East because of how much water it takes to grow this crop. But they own the land and they use the water and they take the alfalfa back to Saudi Arabia to feed their cows. Okay, so this is a big problem for me. That's a huge fucking problem for me. I know I swear a lot and I'm really, I don't know. That's just how I talk. Like it or not, this is how I am. But so, I mean, so I'm not one for like, oh, this, but the brutality is just so off-putting. And the people they're brutalizing and murdering on the street are not immigrants, okay? They are U.S. citizens, okay? And here, I know everyone's like, oh, well, he shouldn't have had bring a gun to a protest. Listen, man, we had people protesting in a Capitol in Minnesota. I believe it was in Minnesota. They went to the Capitol and they were up there with their freaking AK-47s. Okay? I mean, as the, Congress, the state Congress was congregating. They were passing whatever laws. You got these people standing on this balcony, and I mean, you can go look at some of these pictures. They are like outrageous, but they're basically standing up there with rifles and this army tactical gear and bulletproof vests with automatic machine guns, basically staring down at our lawmakers, and somehow that's acceptable. That's something that, the right seems to have no problem with, And I've been listening to this guy. I mean, he put out this video, this Spencer Hugh guy. Okay, I guess he did a lot of right-wing radio back in the day, and he probably still does a little bit today. But he was sitting there saying that how some of these people are perfectly happy with the government beating down your door and cracking your skull if you're somebody they don't like. And they'll literally tell you that you're their enemy because you believe differently than them politically, which is just so bizarre for me. I mean, my neighbors are not my enemy just because of this. I mean, in fact, our government's the fucking enemy, okay? Back to this. Our government's the enemy. Yes, I rant a lot, and I'm very long-winded, but that's just who I am too. But back to the immigration thing, okay? I'm going to tell you what they're doing. They're replacing the immigrants. They're taking the immigrants that have been here for a while, that have become too Americanized, okay? And they're replacing them with new immigrants freshly across the border. I would say freshly off the boat because that is kind of the saying how it goes, but freshly across the border, okay? They're taking those immigrants and basically replacing them. I met a guy who owns this landscaping company down in South Florida, and what he told me is that every so often, okay, every few years or whatever, he has to get rid of several of his employees because they become too Americanized. And yes, that is the term they use, too Americanized. That means that they're asking for raises, they're asking for days off, they are they're wanting better conditions, they're unwilling to continue, okay, with this slave master relationship, okay? And it mostly comes down to asking for more money, and they basically fire them and get new people. And they love the undocumented because the undocumented don't complain. They work for less money and they don't complain. And my husband works in construction, and I'll be honest with you, he's worked in construction ever since leaving the Army, okay? And what it is that, I mean, he's not happy today. He was happy in the beginning because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be an electrician, okay? And he was used and abused by these companies because that is what they do. They used to call him as their wire monkey, literally, which is so insulting. You know, it's not a term of endearment to call somebody that. And then he went, and after 2010 happened, he got a CDL, and he drives dump truck for excavation companies. I know I said septic in another video, and I don't know. It's not septic, it's excavation, okay, where they do sewer lines and stuff. He drives the dump truck for him, and they treat him like garbage. But the truth of the matter is that these people were doing time while he was serving his country, okay? He's not a felon, okay? He is in fact, he's a veteran, not a felon. I'm not saying that you can't be both, because you certainly can, but he is not. Okay. And a lot of these people have never served in our military, and they've been in prison for half their lives, and they get out and they get these jobs. You don't need any license. They don't need any education for this. I mean, not only did he go to school to be an electrician, because he did. I mean, he went, and when he was in West Virginia, where, you know, and he couldn't find a job, and that's why he went into the Army, and he was the signal guy or whatever, you know, laying down lines for the phones, basically, whatever. That's what he did in the Army. And then he got out of the Army, and he got his job doing electric work, wiring houses, and he loved it. He loved it. Okay? Now he drives dump truck. Yeah, it's easy. It's moronic work. But the people at these companies are just not the same. Okay? Like, he never ran into sex offenders while he was wiring houses. But your backhoe guys, a lot of them are sex offenders, okay? So if they're building houses in your neighborhood, you should be very careful of where your children go, because these people might nap up your children and you never see them again. So just be careful about that. But that is what they do with them, okay? So this whole brutality thing that he does, though, it's all for show. It's all for his supporters who love to see skulls being cracked and dead bodies in the street. They want people shot in the street, okay? These Republican, like, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't even say they're Republican. I mean, they're like extremist, okay? And something else. They love to see the skulls being cracked of people they don't like. And it's nothing to do with immigration. They just want you beat up and brutalized and even killed in the street. They get joy out of it, you know? And maybe some of it is just to distract people from the Epstein files, okay? As far as the Epstein files go, okay, if you listen to all the stuff, you listen to the stuff that comes from Dubai, okay, where you can pay somebody to lie there while you shit and piss on them and then fuck them. You can pay somebody to hang on a hook, and you can beat the shit out of them until they're near dead or even dead, okay? You can buy the blood of a newborn baby to pump into you, because we all know newborn baby blood gives you regenerational power, okay? Yeah, and you got to make the baby so afraid before you draw the blood, and then you get all these extra endorphins. It gives you superpowers. Yep, we know all about that. Okay, but you can do that in Dubai. Okay, and then you go what happened in Romania. Rich people were literally paying to hunt humans. Okay, in Romania, and this is documented. There are articles out there about this. This really does happen, and it did happen. Okay, and then you can. I mean, there's that guy in Manhattan, I think it was last year, that was arrested for hiring prostitutes to bring into his Manhattan penthouse dungeon. He has a dungeon, and he takes them up there and tortures them to death. Well, I don't know about to death, okay? I don't know if anybody's died, I mean, but one lady, or maybe it was a couple of them, one lady was in the hospital with fractured skull, broken ribs, a punctured lung, and she said she was electrocuted to the point of passing out. And somebody else came forward and said, yes, they too were subjected to the electrical torture to the point of passing out, okay? And that is literally, okay, I mean, yes, you can pay for sex, okay? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to pay for sex, but that is literally why he was arrested. Okay, this isn't like normal sex. This is like bizarro fucking sex. Okay, so stretch your imagination to the farthest ends that you can think of. Okay, and when that person gets on the podium and they say, vote for me, imagine that person doing all of these things. And if you still think that they're a good enough person to vote for, then maybe you should vote for him, because that is what is all in the Epstein files. What it is a blackmail. When Madeline Adisol, whatever her fucking name is, that Israeli billionaire that gave Donald Trump hundreds of billions of dollars, which Sheldon Adelson or whatever, those people, okay, what they won't tell you, what else besides money keeps the politicians in line? It's blackmail. It is blackmail. If the Epstein file gets released, like it's been court ordered to be released, okay? It's not been court ordered. It has been, it's been court ordered because Congress passed a law, and Donnie the Holocauster, our president of war, has gone ahead and he has signed that bill. It is a law that those Epstein files will be released. Okay, the reason they're not is because they're holding on to the blackmail. We may get them after the midterms, at least some form of that, okay? But I guarantee you the amount of stuff that is in there, it is not just sex stuff, okay? And these people are not just paying for sex. They're paying for all kinds of torture, okay? And yes, I do believe that there are a group of people who believe that I don't know about drinking. I mean, we use that term loosely. I think it's more of a like blood transfusion that they probably do of children. And they are like, you scare the children, like in Defiance, where they were scaring the people and they were making the drug out of it and then giving it the blue men. Okay. Well, anyways, I do believe that people believe that this is true, and they do it. Not that I believe that this gives you special powers. I do not believe the blood of scared children give you special powers. I do believe that there are a group of people who believe this. And if you go back even in the Dark Crystal, where they have the, whatever they are, the one puppet things, whatever, can't remember, whatever, the pixies or whatever, I don't know if that's what they were called, hooked up to these machines. They were scaring them to death, and then they were draining them. And the vulture people, the vulture whatever that were in charge, they were the ones consuming this, and it would give them this life essence. Okay, so this isn't like something new. I mean, this is something that this group of people do believe, okay? When someone came out on Facebook, and yes, I'm exaggerating this, but it's not too far from what they said, that our country is being run by Satan worshiping, baby eating pedophilers. I was like, no, that is so far-fetched. Oh my God. Absolutely we are. Okay, for them people that I was like, oh my God, no, you're freaking nuts. You're crazy, yada, yada, yada. Oh my God, no, they're not. It's true. We are being ran by this freaking type of people. Okay, and like I said, they do believe that literally the blood of it you put the endorphins, because when you get scared and stuff, there is this like dopamine stuff that runs through your body and everything, and they believe that, yeah, that's what you have to do first, and then you can eat drink the blood of the baby after you scare them to death. I just got up and I feel like I have eye burrs out in my eyes, like eye crust stuff. I feel it. Anyways, I probably shouldn't be touching my eyes and make them itchy. That could cause a different problem for the day. So, I mean, you have that. And yes, I do. Okay? And I'm a firm believer that once we get out the Epstein file stuff, what we're going to end up having is less blackmail. okay? And a lot of people to be a lot more fair. But Candace mentioned something on her show, which I went and looked up something about, you know, a congressperson having sex on the Congress floor, on the congressional floor, whatever. There was a guy who literally did something like that. It was an intern, though, what I read, and he was caught videotaping, and I mean, it was like so vulgar about it. But I also, in the process of that, I found two state Congress people. I don't know if they're. I think one was a congressperson, one was a senator. It doesn't, like, when you get into the state, your Congress people are the ones above, and the senators ones are the one. I don't know. Anyway, they're part of your state local representative people. Okay, everybody's got them. You should look up who you have for yours, because that is where you get most of your laws changed, and you should petition those people. Anyways, I read one guy, and he was a Democrat, and he's now deceased, but he was a pedo who was caught with transporting child pornography of children under the age of 5. And I want to put that out there. Children under the age of 5, okay? So this whole, when people, like, those are the people who are really sick and demented and should never be anywhere. But then there was another guy, and this was more recent, and he was a Republican, and he was on some, like, Canadian, like, social media app where you can transfer files, you can send small texts, and you can do all of this stuff without giving out your phone number. And, anyways, they were, I mean, there's like thousands of photos they were transferring in this, like, child app. It's a child app, okay? No one under the age of, like, 25 really uses this even, okay? It's, kids can transfer, like, schoolwork files, and they can chat with their friend, you know, with people, or whatever it is, okay? But his handle was Barack Obama, which I found very, very disturbing. Just, I don't know, man. Is it Mossad, like, trying to set somebody up for this? Or who the fuck is this, okay? Or whatever. Maybe they just tried to make it out like, oh, I'll never be known as myself, so I'll put this out and they'll think it was some liberal person doing it. I don't know, man. These people are so fucking nuts and crazy, you know? But this is some of the shit they have on people. Okay? You know, it's blackmail shit. Do I think Donald Trump had fucking Bill Clinton's dick in his mouth? Yeah, and I'll tell you why I do. I completely believe that that is possible. Okay? It's a private club. You and I are not part of it. Okay? In fact, our president of war, Donnie the Holocauster, he wasn't part of it either. Even though he had brought up himself to all of this riches, he still wasn't part of that club. He only recently got into that club. You know? After marrying his Mossad wife, his handler, Melania, yeah, she's his handler, okay? She's his Erica Kirk, okay? And I'm sure she loves him just as much. My lips are always dry. And this heat is going on because it's cold. And then I get on the camera because I put it all over myself, and I get it everywhere, and I look and I see all of this stuff on here. But that's beside the point. Anyways, yeah, so I do believe that he has that dick in his mouth, and why I believe that is because he wanted in that club so badly. And they probably told him, to get in our club, you need to get on your knees and you need to suck off Bill Clinton. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Clinton was literally in that blue dress while he was doing it. And they had Donnie in some type of, some type of costume as well. I wouldn't doubt it. Okay, something completely humiliating. Because I'm going to tell you something, that is pretty much the only way that his cult followers would say, whoa, whoa, that would put an end to any type of political career. So when they were talking about it, I do believe that happened. Okay? I do. I believe it happened. I believe these people, they're sick, sadistic, and crazy. Okay? I've been talking for about 25 minutes, and I should probably upload this video, but then again, I'm a ranter. My name's Natalie, and I am your Gen X, crazy Gen X rant.